Hi guys, and welcome back to the SN Studio. Today we're gonna talk all about this supplement. Amazing supplement, Black Templar supplement. Who would have said we were gonna get this a couple of years ago? If I told you, you would have just laughed it away, especially you, Big Will in the building again, a veteran in Black Templar warfare, I guess. And yeah, such a cool book, especially with this, all this nice artwork around it, iconic artwork. Like,
I mean, I love that.
Probably anybody that's been playing for as many years as us sees his artwork, and it just gives back vibes of when we used to play a long time ago. But yeah, a really cool book. I'm gonna pass this off to Will because he's the one that's really in love and has been very happy to have this today sent out to us. Now, we have just been playing a battle report. We've just finished a battle report with the Black Templar, and we're very happy with how obviously they perform. Obviously, we haven't got all the new units and HQs, but we did use Grimaldus today.
We did use Grimaldus, and we also used a little something else, which I'm not going to mention.
Okay.
You'll see in the report.
Okay, yeah, we'll see the report. Now, the problem is we did want to do this sit down and chat about the supplement, just because I do need to edit that battle report, and will probably be out in the next couple of days. Fingers crossed, it will be out on Monday evening. But yeah, hopefully everything goes well, and will be out for your viewing pleasure very soon. But yeah, we were going to sit down and talk and deliberate a bit of what the supplement has to offer, and it has a lot to offer, a lot of changes as well. Yeah. But we're going to go into mostly everything in the book that has changed and we think has really stands out. Yeah. For the first couple of times we've seen the book, because obviously we've just had this for basically a day now. But yeah, a lot of good things to talk about, and we're going to go straight onto that. We're going to talk about the detachment abilities to start off with. So, Will, you guys or Black Templars do not have a chapter tactic.
No, we have it. No, we have a chapter tactic.
Okay,
we don't have a super doctrine.
The super doctrine, that is it. Yeah, people have gone crazy straight away when I tell that. So yeah, so no super doctrine unless we're missing something very important out of the book. But we've double checked, we've triple checked. There's nothing there. All you get are the vows now. So something different from what we've seen in all the other supplements. Your super doctrine, let's go into that. Your super doctrine before was extra.
So the super doctrine before was, when we're in the assault doctrine, it was 6s to wound against non-vehicles, automatically wounded that vehicle. Okay. Which was really good against certain matchups.
Yes.
But awful
really
into some
bad
matchups.
Against others, yeah. But now we've got the vows. Yeah. So first thing we're going to talk about the vows. So I think we can go opening up the supplement into the certain pages, because we're going to whiz through most of the stuff anyway. So we're going to go on to vows now. So this is something new, very cool as well. And basically there's a positive and there's a negative for it. We think it's quite good. Now, I'm briefly going to go into vows and how it works. So basically how it works is you choose your vow before every game. So the cool thing is that it's very good because you can actually choose your vow depending on what army you're going to play, which is amazing, to tell you the truth.
You can essentially tailor it to whatever you're going to be facing.
Exactly.
I think it's got some good things.
There's 4 vows. Every vow has obviously the normal vow and has the passion, which is something which is basically the negative of it. Now, some of them are very good. Oh yeah. And the passion isn't something that is going to be very I don't know, it's going to change much in the game. So I think there's only 4, so let's talk about all 4.
Yeah, for sure.
And see that. So the first one is?
So the first one is suffer not the unclean to live.
Okay.
For those Templar fans out there, they're going to notice these are literally the vows that the Emperor Champion recites.
And it's at the back as well.
It's so thematic.
It's very classic. Very classic, yeah.
So, suffer not the unclean to live.
Okay.
Basically, the vow is our own super doctrine. So, any 6s to hit are automatically wounding against non-vehicle units.
Okay.
Now, that's the upside to it. The downside, which is the passion, is it's not so much contentious as it is just worded weirdly. Okay. So, basically, whenever you're going to charge with the Black Templars unit, you have to choose the closest non-aircraft enemy unit within 12. That's not within engagement range of another Black Templar unit. Yeah. And that has to be a charge target. Okay. So this opens up a couple of weird little scenarios.
We've already had a couple of like this. That vow was posted on Warhammer community today, whilst we actually had the book. Yeah. And it's already brought a lot of people to actually talk about it on some of our WhatsApp groups.
The most common problem that people are theorizing is going to be, let's say you have 2 units that are going to charge, and one's 4 inches away, one's 11 inches away. The second you make the 4-inch charge, you can't declare another unit into that 4-inch charge, which is kind of silly because they're basically hamstringing a close combat army.
Yes.
And it's meant to basically represent, you know, like they want one-on-one challenges. They want one unit to go against another unit. And it's really cool, but it can leave a unit, you know, out in the air.
It's quite a big
downside,
negative to that Val. And I don't think it's one that we're going to see a lot, just because at the moment, how it's worded, it's not great.
Yeah. And the other problem with it is that if you're playing against a competitive player who understands how he can manipulate the board, you know, because movement obviously is really important, right? So if he moves his units and puts you into positions where you get an easy charge and then a really hard charge, for example, you're basically going to be losing out on a lot of charges.
It's very easy to maneuver against it or once you're playing it, because you're just like diamond your formation. So always put something very close for him that he has to charge and can't ignore, and then put the rest further back. So his second charges and all that will always be greater, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Let's move on to the other one. Yeah.
Uphold the honor of the emperor. This is one that I love it.
Okay.
So basically, and remember, these are army-wide rules.
Yes.
So your entire army gets 5+ invulnerable save.
It's crazy.
And they get an inbuilt mini transhuman, so to speak. It's you ignore wound rolls of a 1 or a 2.
Okay. So basically, on most troops, it's basically strength 8.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, it still gives you that little notch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where I think it's pretty beneficial.
Yeah, when knights are stomping on you in most of the army, you know, wounding on those nice 2s, suddenly they're wounding on 3s. For free. You're not spending any stratagems or anything like that. So
the real benefit here, though, is that 5+ invulnerable save. You know, an army-wide 5+ invuln is bonkersly good, especially when you have resilient marine bodies.
Yes.
So. And again, it's free. Everyone gets it.
Yeah. So now you're not looking for those extra storm shields. You don't have to look for those extra storm shields like your normal assault intercessors. Normal intercessors will have it. Gravis, big Gravis armies now with toughness 5, 3 wounds each, 5+ invulnerable, and just really quickly, like dreadnoughts are really good. Redemptors are really good. You don't have to pay now the extra points for those Forge World Dreadnoughts, those Contemptors to have those 5 up. You don't have to pay extra tax for those Librarians to give Psychic Fortress.
Well, I mean, we can't take Librarians anymore.
Exactly, exactly. So, but now suddenly those Redemptors now have a 5 up invulnerable save. You're not paying any extra for it. It's a very good one. And the nerf, which is going to go into the passion now.
Yeah, so the passion here is that your models, your units don't gain the benefit of cover. So you don't get cover save bonuses, basically. Honestly, I don't even care about this. Like, most of the time, I'm charging things up the board, and I should be playing a little bit smarter, I know, but it's just running things up the board. And this is going to bring, I think there's going to be a little archetype where you can play, where you're just swarming Crusader squads on the board. Because if you have, like, 20-man Crusader squads, all with 5+ invulns, mini transhumans, can also be transhumaned if you need. You don't care if, like, they're going to be shot at and ignore. You don't get
this
the
army doesn't play with cover, really.
Exactly.
Because you just want to rush forward and hit things with certain weapons. You don't want to be hiding. Obviously, it is part of the game. You will be hiding away behind stuff to get certain objectives and not get shot at, but mostly you're going to be hiding away from obscuring line of sight.
Yeah, exactly.
And not on a terrain feature.
Yeah, pretty much. And even if you're on the terrain feature,
it's amazing.
Yeah, like if you're on a dense terrain feature, there's still a -1 to shoot at you.
Exactly.
So the cover save, like, I don't care about. I'll take a 5+ invuln on my army all day, every day.
Exactly. And there is some stratagems anyway in the normal vanilla book. Like if you're Gravis and something shooting at you with a +1, so with a damage 1 characteristic, you can yielding. You can actually go up to a 2-up anyway. So there's some stratagems that will give survivability anyway. So okay, move on to the third one.
This one is like flavor-wise, it's the coolest one. It's called Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch.
Yes.
Which is once per battle in your first movement phase, if there are any enemy psycho units on your opponent's army, doesn't have to be deployed in the battlefield, in the army.
Okay.
You add 3 to the characteristics of the models in your army. Okay. So now, your jump packs are moving 15 for the first turn. Bikes are moving 17.
17 inches.
Redemptors are moving, what, like 11 now?
11, yeah.
Like your army becomes super fast.
Yeah.
And that's obviously, it's once per game on your first turn.
Yeah.
But it helps you close the distance.
Yeah. Take that, White Scars.
Right, yeah, exactly. Take that, White Scars. And the second upside to this vow is that you get to reroll 1s to wound against psycho units in melee.
Nice.
Now, this basically means that with the 2 newest books that we've had out, Thousand Suns and Grey Knights, which are, I think they're pretty prominent in the meta now because they're strong.
Yeah.
We get reroll 2 wound on 1s on the entire army against them in melee, which is where we want to be anyways. So I think that's super, super cool and super fluffy.
Yeah.
The passion is you cannot perform actions when within 18 inches of an enemy cycle.
Okay.
Which, because they're just so angry
at
the fact that there's a cycle nearby,
makes
that they
sense,
just can't focus on retrieving data in a quadrant of the board, which is fair enough.
It does make sense, yeah.
But I still think that's a very, that's a workaround, downside.
Yeah.
That's a passion where, fine, if you've got enemy units within 18, you can't do Rod for 1 turn.
Yeah.
But hey, just go and charge them instead, and then you just kill them.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that one's really good, though. I think it's got some uses.
It's good, and we're seeing a lot of marine lists. We'll probably see things like that. Which I personally think that Black Templar will be a very infantry-heavy playing game, and just the infantry, those blade guard running up the field, advancing up, because you normally want to go for things like Oath of Moment, going to the center of the board, and just apply pressure onto the enemy. Having those extra 3 inches plus their advance as well. So they're moving 6, they're adding those extra 3, so that's a 9-inch move plus an advance on them as well. So you're really applying pressure.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
And it helps you do what this edition is really about, which is holding the middle.
And board control.
You want to hold the middle and board control. And that's the 2 perfect ways to do that.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, that's a cool one.
On to the last one.
Yes.
I think this is pretty good as well.
Okay.
Basically, your entire army, as from turn 1, and no, I'm not making this up, is in the Assault Doctrine.
Yeah.
Now, turn 1 Assault Doctrine, it's okay.
Okay.
But, you have that Assault Doctrine turn 2, 3, 4, 5, and you don't have to worry about it.
What's it, Nick? What's it called again?
Accept any challenge no matter the odds.
Okay, so let's briefly, for those new to Black Templars, what's your doctrine? What do you get for being on the Assault Doctrine? Sorry.
Well, we don't get anything anymore.
It's true. It's true.
Lost that now.
But it's basically up in your AP on the weapons.
Exactly. We get extra AP on the weapons.
That's it.
And the pistols as well.
And pistols.
The other thing about this is that you also get a permanent +1 to your attacks.
Okay.
So similar to how we've seen Chaos lose Hateful Assault.
Yes.
So we lose Shock Assault.
Okay.
But we have a permanent +1, which is just better.
Yes, because it's better.
I'll have it when you always
get it,
exactly.
not just around that you charge or get charged.
And the only downside to this is that the units can't fall back.
Okay.
Which
is...
I mean, let's be real. If I'm taking Oath of Moment, cool, I just get a 3 point every turn.
Yeah.
But there will be scenarios where you'll want to fall back.
There's actually a lot of scenarios. I'm just going to briefly touch my Blood Angels and my Death Company. That they're really good, they hit hard, but that rule which they can't fall back has basically lost to me games before, where I just can't fall back and shoot that unit with my 5-man aggressor squad beside, or my Eradicators beside and finish it off. So it is quite a big negative as well on that one, which I think is quite strong comparing it to the positive that the Vow gives.
Right, so I'm a big fan of having the army, being able to have a really consistent assaulting all the time. Because that's what you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting the +1 attack always.
Yes.
And the extra AP in your weapons, which means that from the get-go, you've got chainsaws of -2 AP.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. Now, the only downside...
Yes, but will you be in combat with chainsaw turn 1?
No, turn 2.
Turn 2.
The only downside to this becomes that you lose the literal tactical flexibility Marines have, where your heavy weapons have a -1 in the first turn.
Yeah.
Your assault weapons and your...
I'm not a fan of this one right now. Obviously, it's early days. We might see lists that work really well, but at the moment, for me, it's the fire up invulnerable save one, which is, for me, it's like I'm always going to take that.
I think there's a clear winner here for your consistency one.
Yes.
You're most likely always going to be taking this unless you're up into a psychic matchup.
Yeah.
And even then, I think the 5+ invulnerable will still be better because we still have a 5+ feel no pain against mortal wounds.
Exactly.
So having a 5+ invul on top of this means that if they have any shooting in the army, we can basically negate some of that.
Yes.
So I think it's still a very strong one. Yeah.
Cool. So next up, we're going to go on to stratagems, and there's a lot of stratagems in it. But I think what we're going to do is we have used some in the battle report as well. So we're not going to go into all of them. We're basically going to touch base with some ones that have really stood out for us and many that have changed, which you had before. So I think the first one, which already is a big talk on the internet, is Devout Push. Yeah, we see already. It's made him sad already. It's quite a big change for the good of the game, because personally I think it was one of the best stratagems out there
in the game,
and it's still good, but isn't as good. So do you want to explain what Devout Push was before?
Yeah. So before, I'm pretty sure the people that like watch SN are tired of hearing me harp on about this because I just love it.
Devout Push.
It was 1 CP.
Yeah.
You were allowed to pile in 3 inches. You didn't have to be in engagement range for this, which was the best part because it meant that like if you got charged by an enemy unit, you could then just pile a unit in. They couldn't attack that because they didn't charge it, and now you have a second unit in combat.
Yeah.
It created some really janky scenarios where your opponent had to charge in some scenarios to kill a unit, but you had another unit within 3 or 6 inches, even if you had the canticle on. And that would create a lot of headaches for players because there were so many good uses for this. You can hide behind a building and then pile in 3 inches onto an objective in your opponent's turn where they can't interact with you.
Yeah.
So these are just like two scenarios.
There was some like very big, a lot of people using it where you would put something like Blade Guard on inside
an impulsor.
The impulsor would move. You would disembark. You would advance after that, and then use the Devout Push to actually tag a unit in. And it's incredible. It was an incredible strat. Now it has changed.
Yeah.
What is it now?
The new Devout Push is basically you select a unit still at the start of the fight phase, and that unit can make a normal 3-inch move. So obviously, sticking to what a normal move implies is that you can never end within engagement range with a normal move.
Yes.
So obviously, we lose that bit. So that's the first part. It's essentially a 3-inch normal move,
extra move
towards the nearest enemy unit or towards the nearest objective.
Yeah.
Now that bit there is still really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because it means that you don't always have to go towards the enemy. If there's an objective nearby and you didn't quite make it there,
you're suddenly on it and removing some points from the next turn from your opponent. The other thing is that it couples really well with one of your vows with the extra 3 inches. So now your normal basically no.
There is vow synergy it gets broken.
Okay.
With I can't remember which one.
Yeah, but if the vow happens where you're suddenly moving 9 on your first turn, right?
Oh right, okay,
so
sorry.
A normal Blade Guard is suddenly moving 9 on its first turn. Then in the fight phase, even if there's no fight phase, you're suddenly moving an extra 3.
Yeah, I mean, well,
right? Is that it?
Yeah, sorry.
Saying it right? So
the
the normal 6-inch move from an infantry model is now suddenly 12.
Well, I mean, it could be 18, considering you can also advance 6.
That's very true.
So you're doing a 9-inch move.
This is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
So, and it's quite crazy to think that those extra, I know 3 sounds not a lot, but it actually is a lot. So.
There is a second bullet point to this though as well, which is that if a unit is in engagement range,
that's true.
It can also do a 3-inch pile-in.
Yeah.
So it still has that element of it.
Okay.
The only thing that they've removed, which I knew they were going to remove because this was what was breaking it, was being able to be out of engagement range and then get yourself into combat.
Yes.
Because that just, like I said, it just made the game really unfair.
Yeah, it was.
There were Marine players that just have pivoted to playing Black Templars
for that
only because of the strategy. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so another one we're going to talk about now is Tenacious Assault. Yeah. So another of the stratagems which you guys used to use a lot. So let's talk about what it was before.
So before it was a 2 CP.
Yes.
You chose an enemy infantry unit that was trying to fall back out of combat with one of your infantry units.
Yeah.
On the roll of a 2+, they couldn't fall back.
It was very good at certain points in the game.
Very good. Yeah. And the problem was it was very good against like Tyranids or mass infantry armies.
Yes.
Useless against knights.
Yes.
Which is kind of awful. Now the thing is, it's still useless against knights. It's gone down to 1 CP.
But now on a 4+, right?
It's on a 4+. And now the thing is that you can do it now with either infantry or biker units of your own against infantry or swarms, I believe it is, or beasts. It might be beasts, actually. So they've basically lowered the cost by 1, made the chance for it to happen harder, but they've given you a bit more flexibility with what units you can do it with.
Okay.
So it's not too bad. I think it's quite good. Also, one quick thing that I forgot to mention is that you can now Devout Push things like Dreadnoughts as well, which is pretty cool.
So it's any unit, right?
Now it's any Black Templar unit, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So it's not. I still think Tenacious Assault is.
Yeah, you'll be using it a lot.
I'll be using it. There will be some, especially because it costs 1 CP now. 2 CP for me was just a little bit too much, especially when you got Devout Push
and other stuff you wanted to spend it on.
Exactly.
Perfect. Another one we're going to touch base on is the Emperor's Will.
This one's hurt me as well.
So it's quite a nerf on this one as well. Again, let's go on what it was before.
Before it was 1 CP, you chose an infantry unit that unit could move, advance, shoot pistols, and charge.
Yes.
Which was wild. You could have your jump pack infantry just like basically flying across the board.
So good. Basically, it was what White Scars get in the as base for being White Scars. But you could do it on one unit, and you normally had that unit involved in your list that you were expecting to put in as well. For example, Vanguard with jump packs. You would move your 12 advance, that's 6, probably re-roll if you rolled that low, and then paid 1 CP. Was it 1 CP?
1 CP.
1 CP to charge after that. It was basically wild. Turn 1 charges. And now it's different.
Now it's... I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm going to say it's worse.
Let's stay positive.
Let's be positive. No. I'm really happy overall with this book. I don't want anyone to think that like I'm not happy with it.
And it's early days as well. Exactly. We're going to see a lot of synergy later on, especially when those good players get hold of it and start using it. We'll see a lot of more flavor come from it. Yeah.
But like the new Emperor's Will is 1 CP, and a unit can move, advance, fire pistols, rapid fire, and assault weapons without penalties.
Yes.
This is still, I think it's still good. Okay. Because I've been playing on the whole thing of using like units of assault bolter intercessors.
Okay.
Unit of 10 just to have 30 shots or whatever it is, and just move those forward, and now they can fire without penalty.
Yes.
It's a little like it's very.
It's a big nerf. Don't get me wrong. It's a big nerf because really the charging is where it gets really good, but at the end of the day, it had to be done. I think it was a bit too strong. But yeah, and again, it's down to movement. We're seeing a lot of synergy with movement with the Black Templars, which is a very important aspect of the game. We're going to move to a new one, which is called Bombastic Delivery.
Correct.
So, Mr. Bombastic, fantastic.
That's
the first thing that came into my head when I read the strat. So yeah, so it's called Bombastic Delivery. Yeah. Tell us what it is.
So that is a 2 CP. When a chaplain is going to recite a litany, they auto-recite one in the command phase. So this is a bit different to the... what's the one that's in the normal Space Marine book?
The one that you can do at the end of any phase.
Right, basically. So instead of that one, this is in the command phase. It's 2 CP.
Okay.
You can get any litany off, and you can essentially still cast your other one.
Yes.
So let's say you've got 2 really important litanies, but there's one that you just know you need to get off.
Yeah.
You can just spend that 2 CP, auto-pass that one, no worries whatsoever.
Personally, it's a bit too expensive for 2 CP.
Yeah, but
because you're still rolling a 3-up to just pass it, right?
Well, but for example, Grimaldus does them on 2s.
Has it on 2s. So
we still have the relic.
It's like you say, it's like if you really need it, like really need it, game-changing.
Like this for me is what I call the stratagems in this book. I call them silver bullets. They have very specific uses.
Yes.
But when you need it, it's there for you.
It's there for you.
And this is like
you can't be spending
2 CP every turn
because you're going to run out when you most importantly when you most need it. So yeah, I think it's a bit too expensive, but like you say, if you really need it, it's there, and there's a lot of good stuff that you could use it on, and especially in certain key moments in the game. Another one we're going to go is Heretic's Pyre, right? Which is very good, especially if you guys that have those aggressors with those Flamestorm gauntlets on, like, you'll be very happy to see this. So what this does is basically converts all the flame weapons, flamer weapons, basically into to have the extra blast keyword.
Basically, they have blast. It doesn't give them the blast keyword, but it gives them the effect of blast.
Yes.
It's 1 CP for any unit that isn't Gravis.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Basically, because of the
Flamestorm aggressors would be ridiculous.
I've just mentioned
that. But even then, like 2 CP to have your Flamestorm aggressors, just like torch a unit of like of gaunts, for example, because that will definitely kill a unit of gaunts, for example, in a turn. It's cool.
Good, and like something that we were talking off camera is that at the moment there's not a lot of swarm heavy lists dominating the competitive scene, at least, and we're just not seeing in general, like we're seeing more elite armies and stuff like that. We did see a sort of swarm list with Adeptus Mechanicus, with all the Scutari, so that's a good counter against them. Obviously they did get a bit of a nerf, but you still see that a lot. So yeah, one that stood out I think was that one, and obviously there's a couple of others that we did use in the battle reports, which we'll mention.
One I do want to mention, this is my personal like 2021 glow up.
Okay.
Is Shock and Awe.
Yes.
So
yes,
Shock and Awe before was it was a Land Ready Crusader specific one.
This is very good.
It wasn't bad before, right? But the problem with it was you'd spend 1 CP, and your unit that disembarks from a Land Raider couldn't be fired in Overwatch, I think it was.
Okay.
And they might have been like a -1. I never used this strat. There might have been a -1 to be hit.
Yes.
The problem
I think it was just the Overwatch.
Yeah, it might have just been the Overwatch. Maybe I'm just making it sound better than it is. But the problem with this was that the Land Raider couldn't move. It had to be stationary. You had to move out the vehicle, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
And it was pretty useless. However, now it's 1 CP. A unit that's embarked in the Land Raider, Crusader specifically, can disembark after the Land Raider Crusaders moved. So this means now that our Thunderhammer Terminators, which I still want to use,
or Vanguard, which I did mention.
He brought it up. Vanguard with no jump packs,
which no one uses. Imagine these guys with like dual lightning claws or Thunderhammers. Same loadout of basically what the Terminators would have, but just cheaper.
Yeah, but you can load those up into Land Raider Crusader, run the Land Raider Crusader up, drop them out, and they'll be close to a charge. I mean, and on top of that, if they don't come out on the first turn, which they don't need to, they've got a Land Raider Crusader protecting them.
Yeah.
That's like, it's 14 wounds, it's toughness 8, it's 2+ armor.
It's like the good old days where the Land Raiders were assault vehicles, and you could move and disembark and then charge. Now, there is some tax to it because obviously a Land Raider Crusader specifically is very expensive in points.
145
so there is
maybe.
a tax which you're paying for, but
It's
then back to the vows. They do have a 5-up invulnerable now if you use one of the certain vows. So that was one of the negatives for me from a Land Raider. I think they're too expensive for not having an invulnerable save. So there's a lot of high AP weapons now on the table, and not having that 5-up would basically suddenly would remove a very expensive model from the table when they're shooting you with plasma macros.
But now we got one.
But now we have one. So again, a bit of synergy with the vows and something that we might see in play, because charging out of a disembarked Land Raider Crusader is very strong.
Oh yeah,
because there's nothing that's going to stop it from charging you. So it's good. It's good. That's a good one. Anyway, we're going to move now on to litanies. Now, there's not a lot of good litanies. We at the moment, we're not that... we're looking at the litanies and saying, yeah, some of them are good, some of them are bad, but there's nothing that really pops out. The
biggest problem for me was before is that I found our litany table to be very strong.
Yes.
We've kept Divine Protection, so 5+ Fear No Pain.
Yeah. Which is something that we're going to see a lot.
Which is what we're going to see.
5-up invulnerable save. 5-up Fear No Pain after having like a good... Putting it on a squad that is already survivable just makes them so much more resilient.
Also had a change to 2 of my favourite ones, and I think now they're even better. Well, I mean, they are just better.
Okay.
First one we're going to go into is Spies of Devotion.
Yes.
Which was essentially you get +1 attack on a unit when you charge or heroically intervene.
Yeah.
Now, the problem there became that you wouldn't get it, for example, if you got charged.
Yes.
Now you do. Now it's essentially just an extra shock assault attack.
All the time. So suddenly, and in stacks, I was just going to mention it, just stacks on top of the shock assault.
Not to mention that if we have a unit, for example, if we take the vow that you lose shock assault with, and you just get one attack extra all the time, you now have shock assault again.
Exactly.
So that's really, really good. The other one is Psalm of the Remorseless Persecution, which used to be reroll 1s to wound, which was good. But it was kind of useless on like Lightning Claw units and stuff like that. You don't want to put that on.
You already had it. And actually, those were the weapons that you were seeing on the tables. A lot of Lightning Claws and things like that. So
now it's 6s to wound, do an additional mortal wound in addition to your damage. Up to a max of 6 though, which is really good.
Really good. We're seeing the capping a lot on 6. On 6. What was the other thing that was capped at 6?
Wrath of Mars.
Wrath of Mars, and there
the
was
Grey Knights one as well.
The Grey Knights is capped at 6 now. So
Sisters Stormbolters.
It's good because it's like half. It's basically half of what a normal vehicle wounds characteristic is. So I think it's quite good, but it's like having that extra 6.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of it, it's 6 more damage.
In addition to, is great. I think like those 3 litanies are the ones that you're going to be seeing, and because the other ones just don't think are good enough compared to those litanies.
There's one other one which has a little bit of janky play again with it.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to get into it because the 3 main ones for me were those 3.
Yeah.
It's Fervent Acclamation. Keep your eyes out for that one. I'm just going to say it now. Nostradamus of 40k has told me.
Yeah. That one's going to be a good one.
It might have some use.
But it is a bit clanky at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, rattles your brain a bit when you're reading it.
There's a couple of little silly things.
We're going to move on to Warlord traits now. Now, Frontline Commander is still one of the ones that... So we're not very happy with this group of Warlord traits. And we might be wrong. Again, it's early days. There might be things that we're missing out. But both of us still think that we will be going back mostly to the normal vanilla Marine Codex Warlord traits, except for maybe Frontline commander, which is the one that Hellbreach has. Yeah.
So the problem with Warlord traits is that they've never been like outstanding for Black Templars. Yeah. The two main ones have been Epitome or Epitome, one of the two pronunciations of Piety, which allows the model that has it to do another Deny the Witch test, and they can add one to the Deny the Witch test. That used to be the stock one, or still the stock one for Grimaldus, which means Grimaldus, for example, can deny 2 powers at a +1, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Frontline Commander's taken a really big hit, though. Before, this was an aura of core units that would get a +1 to advance and charge.
Yes.
Now, the problem with it is that it's the Warlord gets a +1 to advance and charge, and then any other units that charge that same unit the Warlord charged
get the same treatment.
The problem here is that there's obviously a disconnect between how this works and the vow which doesn't let you charge the same unit.
Yes.
This is what we were talking about, and that's what I thought you were going to mention before.
And at the same time, like, if you are like a frequent player of the game, you normally don't charge in with your character first.
Yeah.
Especially if you're charging in against an Eradicator squad or something like that, you want to charge with something else. Like, you don't mind some models dying from Overwatch.
However, if your Warlord happens to have a specific relic, which we will mention later,
yes,
you will charge him in first.
Yes, you will charge, definitely. But this is, again, taxed, because if you want this Warlord trait, you probably will have this relic on him to do so. But yeah, just quickly into those Warlord traits. We're not going to mention a lot because we just don't think they're good enough from first glance.
Yeah.
Later on, we'll be completely wrong, and we'll have comments flooded in about you didn't mention this, and now it's a really good.
I will do a quick mention just to cover a little spot here, just in case anyone goes for it. Oathkeeper, it has stayed the same. It's a 6-inch heroic intervention.
Exactly.
We haven't mentioned it because it's the same as it was in the last book.
Yes, but it's still very good. Like, 6-inch heroic intervention,
very, very good.
Is very good, very tricky. Like, again, back to my Blood Angels, because I'm playing them a lot. Sanguinary Guard have a stratagem that do that. And it just, when they are on the table, there's a lot of, like, if you're playing a good player, they will ask, is there anything that can heroically intervene and stuff like that? And when you're telling them they can heroically intervene 6 inches, that's when it gets difficult, because especially if you're, like, in range of, like, things like objective markers and stuff, it's really good. Yeah. It's really good. Okay, so we're going to go on to Relics next.
Yep.
I get a bit of a hit or miss. There's a lot of Relics in the book. We're going to talk about some stand-out ones. So we're going to go into the Crusader Helm to start off, which was one that you had before. So do you want to explain what it did? And
so
what its changes?
Before, it added 3 to your aura ranges.
Yes.
So all your aura abilities were increased by 3, which is pretty cool, right? The other bit that it had was that it would let you put a unit in that was within 6 inches
into the
Assault Doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
The new version is identical, except you can choose a unit within 9 inches instead.
It's just better.
It's just slightly better.
Just better.
That's what it is.
I've never seen like an aura like that be 9 inches.
It's really good.
You know, the Sanguinary Priest, back to Blood Angels, I'm sorry, can give within 6 inches a unit into Assault Doctrine. Now 9 inches, it's quite a lot again.
The only problem with this relic is that, like, now with the new vow that puts your entire army into the Assault Doctrine, for example, it loses a bit of value. Sure, having an extra 3 inches on auras is cool.
Yes.
But you lose out half of the what the relic does, and that's kind of off.
Yeah.
But the fact that if we're looking at how Black Templars have been played up until this point,
yes,
or we haven't had this vow, it's just an upgrade, a straight out upgrade.
It is.
So yeah, it's really cool.
It's good. Another one we're going to go is the I've got some
Orillian Shroud.
The Orillian Shroud, yeah. So do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, Orillian Shroud was prior to this book, was at the start of a battle round, you would essentially use the Orillian Shroud, and until the next battle round, all units within 3 inches, core units, would get a 4+ invulnerable save. So this meant that now everything in your army had a Storm Shield. Yes. Eradicators, Storm Shield. Redemptors, Storm Shield.
We experienced it in one of the battle reports, right? What was it? Black Templar
against
versus Craftworlds. Yeah, and it basically won the game in that turn. Yeah. It was crazy.
It's really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
Now, basically the only change that it's had now, or the 2 main changes, but the first one is it only affects infantry.
Yes.
So
which is a big,
it's the same thing.
Big
it's
change.
3 inches affects infantry, so it doesn't affect your Redemptors. However, the other thing is the wording of how long it lasts. Now, I'm pretty sure that the wording is now it's not battle round anymore, it's turn.
So
I'm pretty sure that if you use it on like your opponent's turn, if they start,
you won't have
you don't get it for yours again.
Yeah.
Which again is a bit hit or miss, because if you'd use it normally like either in the first turn, when your opponent had a very big alpha strike, or you'd use it like clutch in the 3rd and 4th turn.
I'll just quickly read it again. So once per battle, at the start of either player's command phase,
there we go,
the bearer can unveil the Orillian Shroud. If it does, until the start of your next command phase. No, so it does go for full turn.
No, because if you start the game...
Yeah, but you have the option.
Yeah, of course.
You have the option. So yeah, it's a bit of a nerf there, but it's still very, very good. Yeah. Anyway, and lastly, we're going to go and mention Tannhaus's Bones.
Oh, I love this relic.
So each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, the damage characteristic of the attack is changed to 1. End of. So you're being hit by a damage 1 billion.
It doesn't
if
matter.
It doesn't exist, it doesn't matter anymore. It's down to damage 1. And this is something cool we'll see, because if you really buff up like a normal Primaris Captain or something like that, or Marshal is it called now?
Yeah.
For you guys, like if you buff him up to be really resilient, and on top of that you give him this, like you can march him up the field.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You won't mind. If you have like a Storm Shield and have a 2-up armor save on him, suddenly have a 1-up, so like those minus will disappear. And you've been hit by multi-melters and stuff like that. So if you've been hit by short arms fire, you basically have a 2-up. When you go into the invulnerable save, if you miss it and it's a melter, yeah, okay, D6 plus 2.
It's
yeah,
1.
It doesn't matter.
It's 1. It's just 1.
It's something we're going to use a lot.
You can get hit by like a Warlord Titan's Volcano Cannon,
yes.
which is like damage 12 or whatever. It's 1.
And this is what the relic we were talking about for the Warlord trades, where if you charge the rest, first. Get the +1. You can charge first with this, because you need 6s to hit him, you need to wound him, and then whatever gun's gone through, if you were charging into Eradicators
1 damage
or high damage, is just damage 1.
This is similar. The Sisters of Battle have one called the Mantle of Ophelia, which also does the same thing.
Okay.
The problem with this is, though, that Sisters, the relic that people normally take is the one that gives them Transhuman.
Yes.
So you're a spaceman, you just spend 1 CP for Transhuman. And now you have Transhuman, and you're only taking 1 damage every time.
So yeah, imagine like a Terminator with a Storm Shield as a 1-up save, or a 0+ save, basically. Yeah. A 4-up invulnerable save. You can give him Feel No Pain with another relic on top of that. You have a damage 1 of any weapon. It's quite.
I mean, and you can even charge him into like a unit of aggressors.
Yes.
It's like, fine.
I think we're going to use it a lot.
Yeah, for sure. No, but you can charge him into like a unit of aggressors.
Yeah.
Soak up 1,000,000 shots, and then fine. Those are still 1 damage anyways. But you're soaking up the shots for another unit that can charge in afterwards.
Yes.
And then if they want to target your character, all those damage to Power Fists become damage 1.
Yes.
So essentially, he has Duty Eternal like a Dreadnought, and that's really good.
It's very good, because as you can see, those Dreadnoughts are much better now just because of 9-1's damage. This is even better.
Exactly,
the damage 5 doesn't become 4; it becomes 1, which is crazy. Okay, now we're going to go on to Relic Bearers. Okay. So this is something new to the Black Templars, specifically for Black Templars, and it's basically an upgrade to units or models. For example, having a captain pay extra points to become a chapter master, having an apothecary become a chief apothecary, and added. Again, there's a couple of, we're not going to go into all of them, but there's a couple of that stand out.
A lot.
One of them is called Sigismund's
Seal.
I'm going to open this up because
the one caveat to this is that you need to have a chaplain in your army to get access to these. You're always running a chaplain anyway. You're always running at least 2 chaplains.
Yeah.
So this is essentially just like free upgrades. Well, not free because you pay points for them.
Yeah,
but you don't pay CP for them.
Yeah.
Which is the main thing for me.
So shall I read Sigismund's Seal?
I mean, I've read it like 10 times.
At the start of the first battle round, select 1 enemy unit that is on the battlefield. Until the end of the battle, each time a melee attack is made by the model's unit against the enemy unit, you can reroll the hit roll and the wound roll. So this is basically Seal of Oath that the Ultramarines have, which is again auto include. But this is just for the command phase. Now,
this is for melee.
Melee, sorry. Yeah. This is just for melee. I don't know why I said command phase. Now, it does cost the units
20 points, I believe.
20 points, which is quite considerable. But if you're putting it in a big man squad of like Blade Guard or Terminators or Vanguard. Or the new
Crusader
squads, it could be quite worth it.
I think it's gonna be. You're gonna see it everywhere because the fact that you can Seal of Oath with Black Templars now.
Yeah.
And it's a 20-point upgrade. Like
exactly.
I can take out one Crusader and put in that.
Yeah. Now it's specifically for a close combat unit because you won't put it on something that's shooting. But rerolling to it and to wound is very good. Will I pay the 20 points?
I will.
I don't know. He will pay if you have building a list and suddenly you're missing 20 points and you don't know what to add, instead of adding an extra intercessor, you're suddenly adding 20 points.
To be fair, the last list I ran against Jamie was 1980 points.
Okay.
This would have been the perfect upgrade.
One of them would have had a reroll to hit and to wound against Gasgol, for example. So it's good. It's good. Now, another one we wanted to mention, we've got a little note, is the orb.
The Holy Orb.
The Holy Orb, which is very, very nostalgic, because it's been around early days for ages, but it wasn't good. And now you're paying for the Holy Orb, and it is 15 points upgrade. Now, once per battle, in your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit that is within 6 inches and visible to this model. Now, I think this was on the community page already, but for those of you who missed it, roll 1d6 on a 2+. The unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, as you can see, there's no hit. Yeah,
there's no hit.
There's no hit. You just have to roll, and there's no. You just have to be within 6 inches.
It's a grenade, basically.
Yeah. And then the good thing is, that is the extra bonus now, is that until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to fight until after all eligible units from your army has done so.
Fight last.
Fight last. It's another of the fight last, specifically fight last, because it's at until all of the eligible units has been fought. Great in the game at the moment. Everybody wants to use it. Space Wolves have it. A couple of other armies have it in play with certain warlord traits and relics. And now you suddenly have it on a squad, which basically you want to get into combat with.
I mean, and it doubles up as well, because I'm painting up a Whirlwind now.
Yeah.
Because that also gives you another way to get fight last.
Okay.
So now I can have one CP strat to give me fight last with the Whirlwind.
Yes.
And then also just fight last with the grenade. Yeah, it's really good.
Perfect. So that's the Relic Bearers, something new in the Codex. We're going to go into the secondaries that the book brings. Again, this is something that we're not very happy with, but we are seeing that happen in a lot of these secondaries.
Yeah. If we look at any Space Marine supplement, like the Dark Angels comes to mind as being the best one.
Yes.
Because they've got, Death with the Wind?
They've got two. They've got the Raven Wing, which is move 12 inches and kill something. You've got 2 points. And then we've got the Summon Defiance, which is auto take, especially if you've got a good unit of like Terminators. You choose an objective and you start sit on it and you just get basically a lot of points for it. Now, we're going to talk about the only good one, which we think, which is called Grind.
It's called. I think it's called Recite Your Vows. You want to double check?
Yeah, I'll check. Yeah,
it's something your vows. Yeah. So basically, this one is in the No Mercy No Respite tree.
Yeah.
So it's basically
carry out your vows.
Carry out your vows, right?
Yeah.
So it basically it contests or competes with Grind Them Down to the Last and No Prisoners.
Yeah.
Those are I like Grind Them Down a lot.
Yes.
To the Last is not as good now.
Yeah.
While We Stand We Fight was way better.
Yes.
But so this one I think is going to be one that we're going to see a lot of people take.
Okay.
Basically, you score 4 points at the end of every battle round.
Yes.
If you've killed more enemy units in melee than your opponent has.
Yes.
Right? Now that's 4 points a battle round, not 3. I thought it was 3 at first. It's 4, which means you can max that out in 3 turns because it only goes up to 12.
Yes.
For this. So you only need to kill more units than your opponent in 3 turns.
Yes.
And you've got your 12 points there.
But then there's an extra 3 points at the end.
Extra 3 points.
Depends on your vow.
Which depends on your vow. And there's a lot of text. It's literally like a block of text.
We won't go into that, but basically at the end of the game, if you get an extra 3 points if you basically
have done something related to that vow.
So
I'm pretty sure the Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witches if you've killed like an enemy psychic character.
Yes.
Right? And there's another one which is if the Suffer Not the Unclean to Live, I think, was if you kill something with your warlord.
One was destroyed by a warlord, melee attack made by Black Templars character unit from your army. So you have to kill the enemy warlord in combat, basically. But it's good, and that's extra 3 points are just
the way that I look at it is that it's 12 points from the main component of the secondary, which is mostly going to be 8 every game, and 8 is good for a secondary.
Yeah.
So I think that one works. I think that one works.
And the good thing is that you can also, I believe, get Oath of Moment, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because it is a supplement. So you would get Oath of Moment.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Oath of Moment, you would get that, and then you would get something like Engage All Fronts, because your army is just going to rush forward to smash things.
Is Oath of Moment not in the No Mercy No Respite tree? It might be.
No, I think it's within. Yeah, it might be actually. It might be. It sounds like it is.
It might be
because it's too good.
That would be too good to be true.
For example, anyway. Now, after that, we've got all the Crusade stuff, which we're not going to get into, obviously, because we're not playing Crusade at the moment. Again, back to the book. A lot of very beautiful artwork, beautiful photos in it, and we're going to just touch base at the very end with some of the specific data sheets. Now, William has spotted something before that, something that is added to these data sheets, and it's basically additional war gear options to both the Marshal and the Castellan, which basically means the Captain and the Lieutenant. And then something that's very, very cool is something Black Templars Armory. You can now give multi-melters to vehicles. So obviously the Land Raiders can already have an upgrade, but there's a nice list here to add an extra multi-melter to. We've got the Gladiator Lancer, the Reaper, the Valiant. We've got Impulsors, Repulsors, and Repulse Executioners. But Impulsor is the one that really stands out because they move fast. I believe they move 14 or maybe 16 inches.
I hope it's. I don't think it's. I would love it to be 16.
So yeah, it's actually something really cool. But move 14, fire a melter.
Funnily enough, this is we were talking about this about comparing it to like Raiders. I mean, I know Raiders are a bad comparison point because they're just so good.
Yeah.
But hey, you now have an Impulsor with a multi-melter on it.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you have to pay the points for it, but it's really good.
I think it's a decent little upgrade, and it beats out, like the missile array is good on Impulsors.
Yes. Now,
but other than that, there's nothing much.
Yeah. Now, instead of equipped it with, so for example, you can't have the Iron Hail Heavy Stubber and then put the multi-melter. You basically.
But you can have the missile array and the multi-melter.
Exactly. Now it becomes.
Sorry, I forgot
now
about
it becomes a gunboat.
Yeah.
Now we're quickly going to go into some of the data sheets. Obviously, we're not going to go into all of them. We have used Chaplain Grimeldus in the battle report, which will be for your viewing pleasure in the next couple of days.
Unfortunately, it has to be this one, my converted one.
Yeah, your converted one, which is very cool. It actually looks very, very similar. But we are going to talk a bit about High Marshal Helbridge and the boss he is now.
He is
a beast. Now, his stat line still moves 6, weapon skill and ballistic skill is 2, strength 4, toughness 4. One of the big changes is he is now 8 wounds, which is crazy. 8 wounds, 6 attacks as well. And yeah, basically he's a chapter master.
Yeah.
One of his main rules is a unit within 6 inches of this model, add 1 to the strength characteristic of models in that unit. Again, a good buff to things surrounding him. He's got obviously the chapter master, the character rule. He's got a 4-up invulnerable save. Rerolls 1s like a captain within 6 inches. Now, where it gets good is basically his melee. His melee is really good. Remember, he does have 6 attacks. Now, he's got 2 extra attacks, so he's always going to have 8 attacks standard, just because of the Adamant Thrall's Fist.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And what this does is basically a strength 3, no AP, damage 1. He always gets these extra 2 attacks.
They're basically his servitors that are on the base with him.
Basically, just pinching and punching you in the face.
The big thing is his Sword of the High Marshals now.
Yes.
So 2
profiles, a one-handed and a two-handed, which is
so
epic,
cool.
Epic to hear. The one-handed one is +2 strength, -3 damage 1, but you get 2 hits
instead of 1.
So
this guy has 14 attacks when he charges.
Yes, plus then the 1 for shock assault.
No, that's with the shock assault.
That's with the shock assault.
With the shock assault takes his profile to 7, and then you just double that. So
I don't think that works like that. I don't think you would get that. I think you would get you never add to the you'd never add the shock assault to that. I'm quite sure that's. So I think it would be just the 6 attacks doubled to 12, and then 1 for the 13, which is still 13 attacks.
Crazy,
like strength 6, amazing. And then we've got the two-handed one, which is ×2 strength, so strength 8, -3, damage 3, with 7 attacks on the charge or when he gets charged. Hitting on 2s, no minus to hit with this weapon. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculously good. It's ridiculously good. They also have, if you're using the certain vow, where you're auto wounding on 6s and doing an extra mortal wound on top of that, it gets really, really good. So yeah, touch base with High Marshal Bedrick. Both of us agree that he's a mega boss, especially at 160 points.
Yeah, he's 160 points, which is a steal.
Which is a steal.
Considering his current version is 155 points.
Yes.
He's gone 5 points up, but gained 2 wounds, a bunch of attacks, and all that, and the weapon profiles.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And he's Primaris now.
Yeah. We also used the Empress Champion in the battle report. We won't go into him because he's, again, a mega boss in the game. Now, I think we do have to mention the thrusting strike that he has, which is ×2 strength, again, strength 8, -4, so anything that has an invulnerable save is just going straight through. Damage 3 as well. The damage 3 is so good this game, especially with so much -1 damage on the board now. A lot of Gravis armor, a lot of models with 3 wounds, which we're seeing a lot. He is very good as well.
The ×2 strength is just, I think, what makes him really good.
Yes.
Because now he can also, he can, like you said, he can eat Gravis stuff, but he also wounds like Marines on 2s now.
Yeah, which is crazy. A normal guy with a sword. wounding on 2s. It's crazy. We also have the Primaris Crusader squads, which everybody's known about. The Warhammer community have talked about that. Everybody's talking. It's basically a normal Primaris squad with some different characteristics to it. You can add neophytes to it, initiates, and obviously the Sword Brethren. The
really cool thing though is that because the neophytes have gone through the Primaris across the Rubicon, they're now 2 wounds as well.
Exactly.
Which is why you can have a squad of 20, which is a blob of 40 wounds.
Which normal scouts don't have yet. Normal scouts didn't get. They still have 1 wound.
So you have a blob of 40 wounds, which could all have like a 5+ inbound, and then you can transhuman them.
Yes, exactly.
And that's just, who's going to go through that?
I know. It's really good. Obviously, we do have the normal Crusader squad for those passionate with the Firstborn. And then we have the very cool Primaris Sword Brethren. So these guys are tough. These guys are good. They've got their 3 attacks like Blade Guard. We did think that they were going to get the 3 wounds like Blade Guard, but they don't. 2. They have 2. Now, they are much cheaper. I think they were 22 points
22
each,
points base.
Where the Blade Guard has 35, but they do have an invulnerable save, which you're going to have a 4-up. With a Vow, these guys have a 5-up.
5-up, yeah.
So you're just paying extra points for a +1 to invulnerable save.
And a +1 to the armor save, those will remember. But
now, another nerf that we're very sad to hear about, moment of silence, is that you can only basically have 1 with each of weapons. So what I thought we were going to see Sword Brethren with everybody with lightning claws or everybody with thunder hammers. You can't, basically. You're going to have like a really cool kitted out squad with different weapons. That's we've read this a couple of times.
We read a couple of times. Our understanding is that if it's a unit of 5, each one of the 5 can have 1 weapon option.
For example, it says if this unit contains 9 or fewer models, 1 Primaris Sword Brethren Astartes chainsword can be replaced with a Thunderhammer. So it's not saying any.
Yeah.
So the ones before the Primaris Sword Brothers basically is giving us an impression that only 1. Now, they do have something that's really good.
Yeah, which I missed.
You missed. And
I read the book and I was like, I got to the profile and I saw the weapons. I went, okay, whatever. Yeah. And he looked at this.
I basically saw this just before we started recording.
These guys are amazing, and then it showed me.
It's called Vow Sworn Bladesmen. So while any Templar vows are in effect, the unit is not affected by the vow's passion,
which is insane.
Yeah, for those of you who have missed it, maybe at the beginning, the passion is the negative from the vow. So it is insane. So they can fall back if you're getting that vow. What's the other negative?
Okay, so you can do that. You can perform actions with them.
Yes.
You get the benefits of cover, but the best one is the one that doesn't let you charge units that are closer that have been charged already.
Exactly.
That one is good.
I think we're going to see a lot of Sword Brethren. The only problem is that the mix of
weapons
weapons inside.
You can't have a unit that's like specialized to do one thing. That's the problem.
But still, with the base chainsword, basically,
you 5 attacks each.
5 attacks each. Yeah. I think we're going to see them a lot, and at 22 points each, they're good. And that's it. That's the end cover again, which is amazing. And yeah, I think we've gone through most of the stuff. Again, back to the battle report. You will see a battle report both on SN Plus and on YouTube. The YouTube one coming first for your viewing pleasure. So if you want to see that, press the subscribe button for you to get a reminder about when that is out. And again, it will be out in a couple of days. And I do want to mention a big thanks to Games Workshop for sending us this to preview the book. Obviously, they send it for free. We do need to mention this always, and it's very kind of them to have it. And obviously, it makes Big Will very happy. It makes me happy as well as an Imperium player. And yeah, that is it from us for today at least. And yeah, we'll catch you back very soon in the battle report coming up in a couple of days' time.